The slave who burned Rome. Eunus, the fire prophet. In the heart of the 2nd century BCE, when the Roman Republic stood like an unshakable colossus over the Mediterranean world, there was a place far from the marble halls of power where the cracks were already forming. Sicily, the breadbasket of Rome, was not a land of proud citizens and gleaming temples. It was a land worked to exhaustion by the hands of thousands of slaves. Men, women, and children torn from their homelands. Syrians, Africans, Greeks, all bound in chains, their backs bent under the weight of grain that would feed the Republic, but never themselves. Among them was a man named Eunus, a Syrian by birth. By the time he came to Sicily, he had already endured the iron taste of slavery. But Eunus was different from the other slaves. His eyes burned with something otherworldly. His tongue told stories that wove gods and omens into every sentence. And sometimes, when the moon was high and the air still, he would lean close to his fellow slaves and exhale sparks from his mouth, a trick with hidden embers in oil. But to them, it was fire, real fire. They began to whisper, "He is chosen. He is the mouthpiece of the gods. He is the one who will free us." At first, these whispers were just a way to pass the dark hours. But in a world where hope was forbidden, whispers can become sparks, and sparks can become flames. The masters saw him as a jester, a harmless fool who amused with his divine visions. He even performed for them, predicting victories in battles, foretelling storms. Cuckolds, they laughed, not knowing that every word he spoke was weaving a net of loyalty around the slaves who listened in secret. Then came the year 135 BCE, and with it, hunger. Not among the masters, but among the slaves. Beaten, starved, and worked until their bodies broke, they began to think of rebellion not as a dream, but as the only way to survive. In the darkness of a Sicilian night, in the shadow of the city of Enna, Eunus gathered them, hundreds at first, Syrians, Greeks, Africans, all with nothing left to lose. Standing before them, torchlight flickering across his face, he declared that the goddess Atargatis herself had come to him in visions. She had told him that he would be king, that their chains would be broken, that fire and blood would cleanse Sicily. Excited, they believed him. The first blow came swiftly. The slaves stormed the homes of their masters, killing without hesitation. Eunus, walking at the front, let flames pour from his mouth as he declared the will of the gods. Fear spread faster than the fire. Within hours, Enna fell. And in the heart of it all, he crowned himself King Antiochus. Draped in purple robes taken from the Roman elite, wearing a crown of gold, he ruled from the captured city as if the gods themselves had placed him there. His court was filled with former slaves, now generals. Roman captives were paraded before him, the mighty brought low before the man they once called a clown. Rome was not amused. Legions were sent to crush the uprising, but Sicily was a fortress of rebellion. For years, the war dragged on. Fields burned, bodies rotted in the sun, and the air was thick with the smell of death. The rebels fought with desperation. They had no illusions. Surrender meant crucifixion. But Rome had patience, and Rome had discipline. Slowly, inch by inch, the legions pushed back. Fortresses were starved out. Rebels were hunted down like animals, and the dream of a free Sicily began to wither. Eunus, once the fire-breathing prophet king, began to flee. His army, reduced to a shadow of its former size, scattered into the hills. Surrounded and hunted, he was finally captured. Rome did not grant him the dignity of execution in battle. Instead, they threw him into a dungeon, where disease ate him alive. The man who had crowned himself king rotted in filth, his flesh falling from his bones. Some say he died alone, babbling to his goddess. Others say he died, knowing he had burned the name of Eunus into Rome's memory forever. The First Servile War was over. Rome would rise again, stronger. But for a brief, blazing moment, a slave from Syria had built a kingdom out of nothing but faith, fire, and fury. And though history tries to forget, the truth remains. Even the mightiest empire can be shaken by a single man with nothing left to lose. Eunus was no myth. He was flesh, blood, and flame. And the day he rose, the world learned that chains can break and empires can burn.